Welcome back to Visionary Birdo. I'm so excited for this message because it hits home. I've learned in this book that I'm reading the 16 undeniable laws of communication. And to be a good communicator is to live out, or you have already lived out, a story or an experience to be able to teach your audience. So from now on, or from I think last video and other videos before too, but not every video, I want to teach you guys from experiences that I've already lived out. So that way you guys can trust me that I've lived through it, I learned the lesson, and that way I can come from a place of experience, not of theory or ideas. Today we're talking about relationships. This specific video, it's about singleness, about the single season, about not having someone that you really want, like a potential spouse, a partner, and you're just not there yet. I've been through a long single season before I met Lorraine. She's my current girlfriend and pray to God soon to be wife. Working on it. We're praying. If you guys want to pray with me on our future marriage. But before Lorraine, I was in a situationship. This was so 2.5 years before I even met Lorraine. I was just ending a situationship. Me and this girl, we were on and off. We were trying to date, but didn't want the title. We were dating all the time and texting each other, but it was just on and off, and it was very toxic, very not self-loving for both of us. I don't know what we were trying to do. It just wasn't working, and I thank the Lord that it didn't work. So we ended things, or she really ended things with me, and I just was holding on because I really wanted a relationship. But until I completely let go of her and the idea of wanting her is when I started really loving myself. Before I get into anything further, I want to paint a picture for you guys. We are both, you and I are right now in a beach setting, and I want to outline this story through a beach perspective, like actual like sand water type beach. Have you guys ever been to the I hope most of us in this video or watching, or me included, have been to the beach. I've been to the beach, and I usually, one of the deterrents, one of the things that was in my way to go to the beach was the sand, because it can just get so annoying, like just having it around you. It's like it's in your clothes. Well, you don't have, like, for me, I didn't have a shirt, but it's in your bathing suit, it's in your toes, it's in all your stuff, your beach chair, your beach umbrella, your towel. If you bring food, like a basket, a picnic basket for the food, it's in the sands, and it just ends up following you everywhere, and it can be very annoying. The first point I have for today in our singleness video, for the ones that are watching this that are single and want to look for a spouse or to be ready for a spouse that God has for you, you have to wash off the sand. And what I mean by that is just how after a beach, you have to just, go in the shower and kind of dust off all the sand and the towels and all the things that you brought. You got to get off that sand. The sand for us, for me, my sand was that toxic relationship, that situationship. Some people, it might be that past that you have to dust off, that sand. Sometimes it could be a traumatic experience. Sometimes it could be the view of relationships, that you might have a skewed view. You might have a culture view of relationships. You might not have a really good foundation. You're not really getting into the word. You're not seeing what God views a relationship should look like. So it's just dusting off all those perspectives, dusting off all that past, that trauma. You're just really washing off all that sand, all that dirtiness, all that things that should not go with you to your house, or should not go with you into a new relationship. So we're going to pick back up from me, getting into the right mindset of wanting to really date again after the toxic situationship. So right after I let go of that situationship, I was in a journey. I was looking into what it means to love myself. I didn't know what that meant. I thought I did from all the videos and the books that I've read, but I really wasn't practicing it. Because if I was really practicing it, I wouldn't have dealt with that situationship. The way that the energy that she was giving off of me, it was barely any energy. And I was giving her all the energy and I wasn't receiving it back. That's not loving myself. Allowing her to text me whenever she wanted and I was okay with it. That's not loving myself. Allowing her to ghost me for a couple months and then come back and I'm just taking her like nothing happened. That's not loving myself. Allowing her to judge my character of, being a gentleman and things like, oh, this is how I like things. I want you to, do things like this. And I'm like, oh, let me try to fix things myself so that way she can like me. That's not loving myself. The one for you, the one that God has for you is gonna like you for who you are. You don't have to change yourself. If anything, the new spouse is gonna help enhance who God made you to be, help you realize who God made you to be. It's going to be that connector, that helper, that person that God has ordained and anointed for you to be in a relationship. But I didn't realize that. So right after I let go and truly was on this journey of loving myself, it took time. It really did. And that's why we're on the second point. Take a walk on the beach. Like I said, we were on this beach journey trying to help you visualize what's going on in your single season by correlating it to a beach. So the first step is to wash off all the sand, the past, the traumatic experiences, your view of relationships, just your perspective right now of, like, let's say if you're a woman, that there's no good men out there. And if you're a man, you're saying there's no good woman out there. Just washing all of that off, all that sand. We're on the second step, and that is take a walk on the beach. The process of loving myself was amazing. It was a long walk on the beach. If you all's ever been on the beach and decided to walk that shoreline where the water meets the sand, and you just that walk could be a really long walk, but it's soothing. You know that it's gonna take you more than 10 minutes to get to the end of the beach or wherever you want to go. You're watching the people on the side of you. You're watching the waves. You're seeing the sunset come down. You're not really too worried about how fast you need to get this walk done, unless you're exercising. But we're not exercising in this analogy, in this story. We were just walking. And that's what it was when I was on my single season. I was just taking it day by day, learning how to love myself, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to understand my self-worth, making sure that my soul was happy. And it took time to gain the wisdom. I was in the word and seeing who God made me to be, how God looks at me. I was looking at healthy relationships. I was following people that were in Christian and God-centered and Jesus-centered relationships. I was trying to regain a perspective, a new perspective, so that way I can wash off all that sand or all that perspective that wasn't of God and gain new ones, so that way I can look forward to my potential wife. But during that whole process of waiting those 2.5 years before Lorraine, I just did not give up on praying. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I prayed for a wife. I didn't even know who she was, but I was like, Lord, I pray that my wife is having a great day. I pray that you bless her, Lord. I pray that she understands that you are the center of her life. I was just praying for her, and I didn't even know her. I didn't know what her name was. I didn't know if she was gonna come the next year, the next month, the next 2 years. It ended up being 2.5 years. But every day I just took a little bit of time in my prayer to pray for my future spouse. And I was just at it. And that gave me hope and it gave me faith. And don't get me wrong, it was a long process. 2.5 years is long. Some people are waiting more than that. Some people are waiting less than that. But however, it's just relative to the person. But it felt really long to me. And I was even doubting at some points. I'm like, dang, am I even gonna get a girlfriend anytime soon? Like nothing's really working out. It's like a year goes by, 2 years go by, and now a couple months go by, and I'm like, dang, I'm still. But towards the end of that long walk, I started appreciating the walk, the building me up. I was in the gym. I was learning about love. I was learning how God looks at relationships. I was just towards the end of it. In the beginning, I wanted it right then and there because I was desiring a relationship. But then, as I get more than halfway done with this long beach walk, this long single season walk, I was realizing that I'm enjoying loving myself. I'm enjoying understanding how God looks at me. I'm enjoying these goals that I've now set, this purpose that I'm now living, this calling that I'm now trying to pursue. I wasn't really focused on a spouse. I was focusing on myself. I was learning how to love myself, not in a selfish sense, but just understanding who God created. I was lost, but God was bringing me back. And he was like, this is who I made. This is who I love. This is the person that you are now becoming, that I've created. And I was unfolding and I was now seeing. Just took a little bit longer time. For you, you're wondering, how in the world am I going to wait 2.5 years or 5 years or 10 years? You're thinking about the end goal. You're not thinking about the process. When you're in the process, when you are in the single season and you're focusing on what God is doing in that moment, time just goes. And you're not really focused on the spouse. Yes, you're praying for that spouse every night, for your future spouse, but it's not your focus. Your focus is Jesus. Your focus is his purpose for you, his calling for you, what he wants you to do for that day. So time just ended up going by, and it was 2.5 years, and then boom, Lorraine just like fell into my lap. It just happened so smoothly. That's how I knew it was from God. Yes, I prayed to make sure that it was from God, but the way that it just all fell into place was just so ordained, so divine. Whenever you are in your single season and you're reminded of this video of this long walk on the beach, and you know that you have to pray, think of this parable. One day, Jesus told his disciples a story to show that they should always pray and never give up. So even, yes, we're talking about relationship, but if you're pursuing a goal or pursuing a purpose, if you have a vision, like we're trying to chase after our vision in this channel for my vision, and I'm documenting the process, you can also apply this story too, because in the beginning of this parable, it says that they should always pray and never give up. When you need help, remember this parable. There was a judge in a certain city, he said, who neither feared God nor cared about people. A widow of that city came to him repeatedly saying, "Give me justice in this dispute with my enemy." The judge ignored her for a while, but finally he said to himself, "I don't fear God or care about people, but this woman is driving me crazy." Sometimes we gotta drive God crazy of how much we're going to him. "I'm going to see that she gets justice because she is wearing me out with her constant requests." Then the Lord said, "Learn a lesson from this unjust judge. Even he rendered a just decision in the end. So don't you think God will surely give justice to his chosen people who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will grant justice to them quickly. But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on earth who have faith? This was me. Day in and day out, I was praying for my future wife. Even if it looked dim, even if I only have a spark of hope, I was praying because I believed that God had the one for me. I knew that he loved me, and I knew that she was out there for me, and I was just waiting for her, so I was praying for her. And I repeatedly, just like in this parable, I was driving God crazy with my request. And great is his faithfulness. I was praying for my wife, and I didn't even know her yet. The third point. So we're washing off our sand, the past, our perspective, our culture, how we view relationships now. We just washed that off. We're starting new. We're now starting on our walk, our long walk on the beach, learning how to love ourselves. We're in our single season. We're not focusing on the spouse. We're focusing on our relationship with Jesus. We're focusing on our purpose, our vision. We're really just enjoying the day, enjoying the sunset, the view. We're just walking on the beach. The next point, watch out for sharks. I'm going to start off this point with a really funny story. I have a really close cousin. His name is Jordan. He has a wife named Ivy. And they were telling me, I think a year, like this is like when they were dating. I don't think they had kids at this point, but now they're married and have kids. This is before all that. I think they were at a beach and they were with some friends and they were like in the shallow. They were like, probably the water was probably about waist high. And there was a fin, like either a shark fin or a dolphin fin that, that on the back of their bodies. And it was by them. Ivy explains this story so well. I'm trying to do it justice. But she said that Jordan pointed at the fin. It was like, shark! And pushes his girlfriend at the time away and starts running towards the shoreline, not bringing her with him or even putting her in front of him so that way she can get safety first. He was like, and just started booking it to the shoreline. And then he was probably like 30 feet away, and Ivy's just like sitting there shocked that Jordan just left her, even if it was a shark that she was gonna get eaten. And I just love that story so much. And this is going somewhere. I'm saying this story just to lighten up the mood, but there could be some sharks along your single season. I had some sharks in my single season. There was 2 opportunities that I had that I believe that were counterfeits, or I know that they were counterfeit dating opportunities. It could have been from the enemy, or it could have been tests from the Lord. I don't know. I can pray on it so that way I can give you guys how it was. But either way, they weren't the one. The first opportunity was a girl who I believe I followed on Instagram. I was messaging her. I slid up in her DMs. We were just messaging on DMs, and the messaging ended up being longer than a week. We ended up exchanging numbers, still talking. I was like, hey, let's go on a date. We go on a date. But then she's a traveling nurse. So right after a date, she had to go do a contract for 3 months. But I'm a patient man. So I was like, hey, I could wait for your contract to be over so that way we can continue this dating because you're really cool. I really like you. She's like, yeah, I really like you too. Let's just keep it up. She was in Hawaii, so the time difference was a little different. But we still made it work. We were on the phone talking, whatever. And then she was telling me, she was honest, which I really appreciate that she said all this, but she was saying, hey, like before I started texting you and getting to know you, I was in the friends with benefits kind of relationship with one of my co-workers in this traveling nurse community. And he's like stationed in a different island in Hawaii. And I wanted to go see him and just kind of like catch up with things. And I was like, hey, I'm confident. I trust you. You can go. I was kind of like off put it by it, but I was like, hey, like we're not dating. I don't owe her anything. She doesn't owe me anything. You could do whatever. She ends up going to this island to meet up with this guy that she used to be friends with benefits with. And then after like that whole like couple of days, she comes to me. She's like, hey, this person's saying that he really likes me, and now I'm conflicted of if I should pursue him or pursue you. And I told her, I was like, hey, one, thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate this, that you're being honest with me. I'm gonna let you sit on this decision, but just know that you kind of made up my decision. I'm not a second option. And the fact that you are trying to decide between me or another person, I'm just gonna stop talking to you from now on and give us some space. And that's how I ended it. We never talked after that. I'm not a second option, and you're not a second option. Remember that. You are a first option. If this person that's trying to talk to you is saying, yeah, I don't know, I'm going to think on it, that's your sign. That's a red flag. They will know. They will know that you are worth dating. They will know that you are worth going on multiple dates. They will know that you are worth pursuing. And I wouldn't have passed this test if I didn't know what it meant to love myself. I wouldn't have passed this test if I didn't set boundaries for myself. I knew myself. I knew who I was. I knew that the type of man I am. I know how to treat a woman, and I knew what I can offer. And she obviously didn't see that. She would have, if she didn't choose me first. She wanted this guy or me. And the fact that she had to weigh out her options that was the sign that I needed. That was the confidence that I had in myself, that I was not a second option. So that was opportunity number one. That was a shark. I was like, get out of here. You're done. So that shark was no longer, we never kindled nothing. We ended it. Second opportunity was kind of like this girl we used to date in high school, but it wasn't like we were dating. We were like 15 and we dated for a month. So is that dating? I don't know. I don't consider it dating. Anyways, she sees me on Instagram and she's like kind of like liking my posts, swiping up, giving me the hard eyes. She said, hey, Roberto, like, do you want to meet up? We haven't seen each other for a long time because this is like 2 or 3 years after high school. I was like, yeah, just, I'm not thinking anything of it. So we go on, 2 or 3 dates, and the last date that we went on, mind you, the whole time I'm praying to God. I'm like, hey, Lord, like, if you want us to rekindle what we had in high school, if this is meant for you, please open all the doors that need to be open. If it's not from you, please close all the doors that need to be closed. Like, I pray that you can just give me a sign. We go to the beach, right? This is a beach theme, not a coincidence. We go to the beach. After the beach, and just the vibes there, like, how like when you're dating someone that you really, really like and they really like you kind of just don't want the date to end. Like, I wanted this date to end like an hour into like the beach day. The vibes weren't there. They were just like forced, and it felt awkward. So that could be some signs for you if it just feels awkward. But anyways, we had the beach date. We're heading back to the house. I'm gonna drop her off. Like towards like almost like I'm like going off my exit. We're on the highway. I'm almost like going off my exit to go drop her off. I get pulled over for speeding. Yeah, I'm a sinner. I was speeding. I was going like I think 10 over. So the cop pulls me over. Like, we're getting nervous, whatever. And the cop comes out the car, and he's like, "Hey man, like, you're going 10 over. I caught you on the laser or whatever. I need to see your license and registration, all that stuff." I was like, "All right, here you go, sir. Give him all my license and registration." He comes back and he goes, us Ramoses needs to stick together. He's like, I'm giving you off a warning. And he's like, have a good day. I look at his tag and his name ends in a Ramos. And I was like, I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. He lets us go. I get home, I drop her off. I'm in the shower because, I'm washing off all the sand. I'm in the shower, and then the Lord starts talking to me. He's like, hey, you said you wanted a sign, right? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that was your sign. That was your warning. I want you to end things. This cop who had the same last name as you stopped you in your tracks. I'm trying to stop you in your tracks, give you a warning, like the cop said, I'm giving you a warning that you should not go through with this relationship that you're trying to develop. And I was like, oh snap, God, you really would do it. This, wow, my same last name, and wow. And I was just like, whoa, God is real, and he's giving you these signs. You just have to pay attention to them or ask the Holy Spirit to help you. Another shark, denied. This reminds me of Revelations 3:7. It starts like this. Write this letter to the angel of the church in Philadelphia. This is the message from the one who is holy and true, the one who has the key of David. What he opens, no one can close. And what he closes, no one can open. God was closing this door and nothing was going to open it again. So he's going to do the same for you. I prayed for God to open all the doors that needed to be open and close all the ones that needed to be closed. I asked him for a sign and he gave it to me. Great is his faithfulness. The last point. Watch the sun with the one. Watch the sun with the one. After 2.5 years of my walk on the beach and running away from sharks, the Lord brought Lorraine and I together. After denying some sharks, after being patient, learning what it is to love myself, and just praying consistently, he brought Lorraine into my life. And thank God that he did. He did more than enough. Like I could have the utmost success in every absolute area of my life. Financially, career-wise, like everything. Everything's going super smooth. One, it won't compare to my salvation, my relationship to Jesus. That's number one. But number two is Lorraine. She is a gift from heaven. And I really do believe, it's Proverbs 18:22, like he who finds a wife finds a good thing, or he finds a treasure. She is an absolute joy, and I thank God for her every day. She was made just for me, and I know it's cliche, and you're probably like, yeah, but like, no, I know. The way that we complement each other, the way that we both pursuing marriage, and the way that how it's just so seamless. Yes, we have our past. We both had our past, and we both were honest, and we got through every hurdle that was brought to us, but the thing that we did it together, and it was so seamless. Like, thank you, God, for how everything played out. And I know that right now you're probably thinking, how in the world is all these things that are leading up to this moment is going to work out for the good? But like he says in Romans 8:28, he works all things for the good. So it just worked out. In Lamentations 3:22 through 23, it says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord always comes through on time. Yes, it wasn't my time, but it was on time. He came through for me. He will come through for you. Yes, it was a long wait. The only way I can tell that it was from the Lord, if I was able to wait the 2.5 years again, if I knew that Lorraine was going to be at the end of that waiting period. I would have waited 5 years if I knew that it was Lorraine. That's how I knew it was from the Lord. And that's how you're going to know. If you're willing to wait the whatever time that you had to wait for your spouse, again, if you knew it was your spouse. Both Lorraine and I set boundaries. That's loving each other. That's loving ourselves and loving each other. And committed marriage early on. One of the hard-hitting questions I told her, I was like, I date to marry. And you guys gotta tell your whoever you're dating or trying to talk to, like, this is it from the start. I'm dating to marry. I had marriage mindset. We had marriage on our mind. We had the marriage mindset. And I'm gonna end like this. P.S. I will make sure you are in front of me if I see a fin in the water, honey. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys so much. I hope this helps the singles out there, and maybe reassurance that whoever's not single, that's how the Lord plays out. You guys are okay. Yes, it's long, but it's going to, God comes through, great is his faithfulness. Remember, today is the day the Lord has made, so we're going to be glad and rejoice in it. He's given us our daily bread. Our daily bread. So remember, we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about yesterday. We are living today. Love you guys. Hope you have a great day. Be blessed. Peace.